G'day everyone, Jake here, back with another video. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I went about installing a 1kW inverter into the back of my 2013 Toyota Prius. I've been car camping all across the US and Australia in my Prius, and having access to reliable power has been an absolute game changer. During my travels, I mainly use this setup to boil water for coffee and charge my devices like my phone, my drone, or my laptop. But you can run any device with a power rating under 1kW, like Bluetooth speakers, camping fridges, or small kitchen appliances like microwaves, toasters, or even blenders. If installing this into the back of your Prius interests you, then keep watching. Before we get started, I'm obligated to tell you all that I am not a qualified electrician, and I'm making this video for informational and entertainment purposes only. Working with electricity is no joke, especially with an electric car like a Prius, and you should do your own research and take proper safety precautions before attempting this project. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. This is actually the second time I've installed one of these into a Prius. The first time was back in late 2021 when I spent 6 months circumnavigating the continental US car camping out of my Prius. For that trip, I simply bought the pre-made cables for about $70 US from an online seller called Custom Cable USA, and then watched another YouTube video from a guy called Terrell W. Smith to help me install them into the back of the car. I'll leave a link to the website and the YouTube video that helped me in the description below. Unfortunately, when I came back to Australia, I found out that they don't ship internationally. So I decided to get creative and take on the DIY challenge of making the parts from scratch, which I'll step through in the next section of this video. If you've bought the package from Genuine Deals and you're ready to install the package into the back of the car, then feel free to skip forward to the installation part of this video. Let's talk about what materials you'll need to get started. A trip to Jaycar and Bunnings, along with a bit of online shopping on Amazon, got me everything I needed for this project. Here's a list of things that you'll need. Feel free to pause the video here and read it through. Some other tools that we already had on hand that you'll also need are listed here. I'll leave links to everything in the description below. Once you have all your materials, we need to cut the cables to size. On screen now are the different sizes of cable you'll need. Feel free to pause the video here again and work through cutting each cable to the correct length. Just mark that out. Grab these. Just make sure it's in the middle. Alright. Next, strip each end of the cable to fit into either the lug or the Anderson connector. I stripped about 10 to 15 mil for the cable to fit into the lugs and about 25 to 30 mil to fit into the Anderson connector contacts. Ideally, you'd want to use proper wire strippers to do this, but we only had conduit cutters available, which were a little more time consuming, but they got the job done. Next is soldering and crimping. You could probably get away with just crimping each cable, but we decided to put a bit of solder on the ends beforehand to make sure there was good contact with the connectors. It also helped to hold the wire threads together as you're inserting them in the contacts. Carefully put a bit of solder around the outside of each cable end and then insert each cable into either the lug or the Anderson contact. Next, crimp the lug onto the end of the cable. I set my crimping tool on 16 mil and then crimped each end twice to make sure it wasn't going anywhere. Once you've done that, grab your heat shrink and your heat gun and carefully adhere the wrap around your connections to make sure they're protected from the elements. Insert your Anderson contacts into the Anderson connectors. Make sure the contacts are the correct way up before inserting them. Okay, so once you got all your parts, the fuse, this cable, and then this one to the Anderson connector, and the right bolts, and obviously your pure sine wave inverter, then we want to install it into the back of the car. So just taking off this first cover, and then this next cover just pops straight out as well. and that reveals the 12-volt battery. And we need to essentially add that Anderson connector, one lug there on the positive terminal and one lug there onto the negative terminal. So that's what we're going to do. Important to note that the fuse here and the lug must be touching. Alright, and we haven't actually tightened this up yet. I've just tightened it up by hand, just for now, until we get it in the car, and we'll see what the orientation is. Then what we're going to do, is bring that over here, jump around here. What we're going to do is drop this down this little hole here, which will come out the end here. Just be careful you're not, touching things that you shouldn't. There we go, perfect. We'll just leave them there for now. And that Anderson connector will sit right there. So what we're going to do first is connect this negative terminal and switch this bolt around like he says in his video. Okay, this is what you're going to end up with for the negative terminal. So I removed the original bolt, which was this bolt that was originally in like that in the terminal. I removed that with this wrench, just a 10mm wrench. So I removed that from there, put in the new bolt, so that goes in that way. I've then got on this side, underneath here, you can see there's a square washer in there. That's actually the original washer that was on the terminal. I've then got the original nut that was also on the terminal. Then I've got one of the washers I bought from Bunnings, the actual lug of the negative terminal that goes to the Anderson connector. Then the other washer that I got from Bunnings, and then the nut that fits that bolt. So that is the negative terminal. Okay, let's talk about the positive terminal. This is the original bolt that was already on the terminal. This is the original washer that was already on the terminal. I've then put one of the washers from Bunnings, and it doesn't look pretty, but everything's in contact and it works perfectly. So you could buy a longer bolt if you want, but this worked. So that's the washer from Bunnings. Then I've got the actual lug on here next, followed by one of the washers from Bunnings, and then the original nut that goes with that bolt. Tighten it all up really tight. This is not going anywhere. Neither of these are going anywhere. And yeah, that is what you're going to be left with. I should also say that there was a bit of a plastic thing that actually went in here, but because of this fuse, it no longer fits. So I just put this part back. Hard doing this with one hand. Click that in there. So that part goes back, and then I just put this part back on the top there, and that keeps it all covered and protected from the elements. Once you've installed your cables, you'll have a nice clean setup like this. Before you do anything, remember to put your Prius in ready mode. To do this, you need to put your foot on the brake and press the start button. This engages the hybrid battery, which will top up the 12-volt battery if the charge drops too low. If you don't do this, you run the risk of draining your 12-volt battery, which is not a good thing. Once your car is in ready mode, pop off the cover at the back of the car and connect the Anderson connectors. Plug in your appliance, power on the inverter, and use your appliance as normal. And there you have it. As long as there's fuel in the car, you'll have unlimited 240-volt power to do with what you will on your adventures. If this video has helped you, give it a like. If you have any ideas on how this could be done better, then leave a comment below. And subscribe if you want to follow me on the rest of my adventures. Other than that, I will see you in the next one. Pretty sure that's how it goes. And then just put the bolts on and away you go. Comment down below if I'm doing this completely wrong. Finally. It only took 3 hours to install this 100. Yeah, this is. I need to write something down. Okay, glove.
And then you use this monster tool to crimp it.
You're a monster tool.
Face is a monster tool.